What's up guys, Silver here with another Halo Master Chief Collection Achievement Guide. This time we're doing part 4 of our Halo 2 LASO walkthrough, so start this up. This is the first level you play as the Arbiter. You're going to spawn in, and instead of chasing the two elites to your right, who follow a path and kind of wrap around, we're going to go straight and drop down right on top of our group of friendlies down here. We're going to switch to our plasma rifle and exchange that for the beam rifle. There's always an elite standing right here. He has the beam rifle, and then we want to switch to our sword and kill him immediately, along with the two grunts to his right. And then we're going to turn around and sword this elite who's up on this control console opening the door. And you want to do that as quickly as possible, because if you do it too slow, the elites here will turn on you. So for these last two remaining elites, we're going to sword them until their shield pops, and then we're going to finish them off with a melee with the beam rifle. So that way we get a full double overshield from the Black Eye Skull, and also by killing all of these enemies in the beginning, we actually despawn some of the enemies in this next room up ahead. So you'll see that shortly. We have to wait in this room for a little bit because it's kind of a loading zone. Normally there's some dialogue that happens here, but we're going to skip that because we killed all of the enemies that would be exchanging that dialogue. You'll see some atmospheric effects here. It looks like smoke coming out of the doorway here, but look at the door and be right up against it, because once it changes from red to light blue or light green, whatever it is, you want to immediately cloak yourself and then follow this path, jump up here, drop down the hole onto this conveyor belt type thing, and then just kind of run forward and then cut into the right, and then wait for your active camouflage to recharge. Instead of a flashlight that the Master Chief has, you actually have active camouflage, but it does run out after a short period of time, so you have to wait for it to recharge. And then I cloaked myself again and ran down one of these conveyor belts and dropped down here. Make sure you don't drop down into the hole, but follow this path. And we want to bring the sword, beam rifle, and this carbine here on the wall with us down the elevator. And we also want to bring this crate, so shove that crate over there with the sword, and then you could exchange it for the carbine and kind of just juggle it over here. Use the sword to keep throwing the crate forward into the elevator over here, and you want to do this as quickly as possible because more elites will spawn down here if you take too much time. So just throw the sword on the lift and also the crate, activate the elevator, and you'll start heading down. If you can, you want to hide behind this crate because there's enemies down here and they could see you through the glass, this plexiglass type looking stuff here. So you want to have your back up against the wall and ideally be behind the crate if you can. And then just keep an eye on this glass, and once it ends, we're going to cloak ourselves and then wrap around behind the elevator shaft that we just came down, and we could kind of hang out over here. And if you're not spotted, you could get the jump on these enemies here. There's going to be a sentinel that drifts over here. He usually comes over here, so take him out with 2 shots from the beam rifle. And a lot of times, most of the time, there's going to be a carbine-wielding elite that kind of comes from either side, and you don't know which side it's going to be, but he likes to jump back behind here. But you should have a full double overshield at this point, so even if you take a few shots from him, it's no big deal. But he likes to wrap up around behind the elevator shaft with you, so you could just kind of wait for that to happen and then just run up to him and smack him a couple times. He'll turn around because of the Sputnik skull. Whenever you melee somebody, they turn around, and then you could just finish him off with the back smack real quick. But in this playthrough, he is not charging my location like he usually does. He's actually kind of sitting back and shooting at me, so I'm just going to cloak myself and close the gap myself instead of waiting for him to come to me. And then I'll just keep smacking him until I land that back smack for the one-hit kill. And then I'm going to go back behind the elevator shaft here, and no more enemies will charge your location. I took out the 2 sentinels that are in this area initially, plus that 1 elite that likes to come up behind you. So we're totally safe behind here now, and we could kind of take our time and pick off the grunt. So there's one right there. And once you pick off a grunt, there's going to be one of the doors, that one or the one on the other side here that opens up with more grunt reinforcements. So 3 more grunts will come in once you take out one of the initial grunts that are already in here. And if you're looking at the door as it opens up, you could actually quickly take out the 3 grunts with 3 quick headshots from the carbine if you time it right. But obviously I was looking at the wrong door this time around. So we at least know there's 3 grunts over on this left side. So we'll take them out hopefully. So that's 2 down, and we know 1 more is over here. There he is. He's jumping down into the middle of the map. They like to do that once you give them enough time. They'll just kind of jump down into the middle. We'll take him out, and then we will kind of back up, just see what's what. There's a carbine elite over on the right side shooting at me. There's 1 more grunt who jumped down into the middle, it looks like, with a needler. So he's backing up, and that should be it for grunts. And there are going to be 2 elites remaining, and they're going to be on the opposite side of the room. Once there's only 2 elites remaining and only 1 more grunt, I believe, the 2 elites head back to the opposite side of the room over by the hangar door. There's always carbine ammo right here. Not much, but a few rounds for your carbine. You probably need it at this point. And you could see that the 2 carbine elites on the other side of the room, they like to hang out on either the left side or the right side. It depends what side you're on. If you're on the left, they're going to run to the left. You can see that's what's happening here. And by me just moving to the right a little bit, just to the other side of the room, we're barely on the right side of the room. That gets them to move to the right as well. So you could use that to your advantage. At a minimum, you know where they're going to be at least, or where they're going to move to if they're not there already. So the first option is to kind of hang back and use the beam rifle to take these guys out from far away. You should have a lot of ammo left because we only really used it to take out those 2 sentinels in the beginning of this area. And when you picked it up from your friendly in the beginning of the mission, that actually was a fully charged beam rifle with 100 charge. But you can see I swapped out my beam rifle for that plasma pistol on the ground. There are a ton of plasma pistols in this area and also through the rest of the mission, and they all have full charge. But when there's only one elite remaining, I like to move up there where I was just hiding out for a second, and the elite will either jump up and over the conveyor belt and actually kind of be right in front of you, or he'll kind of hang back and start shooting at you like he did there. Right there, I cloaked myself and then stuck him. I don't actually recommend that. I just wanted to show you how elites sometimes react when they go berserk, particularly missions where there's heretic elites, because heretic elites, when they go crazy and draw their swords, for some reason, there's no sword that comes out. So they just get angry and don't have a weapon. So I was just going to show you that, but he ended up not going berserk by random chance this time around. So I will show you that later in the mission. But you kind of want to just cloak yourself, and then you could just close the gap and smack them until you get the back smack when there's only one left. It's pretty easy to do. So we're going to go over here, grab the sword that we brought down on the elevator, and also smack this crate off the elevator now. And we'll bring it to the right. You could bring it to whichever of these doors that I'm going to show you. You can see this conveyor belt. This will help us along here a little bit. The other conveyor belts will actually be a nuisance, but this one kind of helps you out a little bit. So we'll just sword this over here, and we're going to block this door with this crate. So the reason you want to do this is because reinforcements come through these doors, and you can just kind of box them in here, and they won't be a problem. If they're spawning and they see a big crate, and they're like, I guess I can't go this way, so we'll use that to our advantage. So we want to kind of make this nice and snug. You want to sword it until you get close, and then you can make minor adjustments with your carbine or whatever other weapon you have, because a sword has a lot more melee power, so you want to use that when you're kind of bringing it across a long distance. But once you get close up, you want to use another weapon to smack it, because that will kind of fine-tune it more, and it won't go flying. You won't like smack it into the wall and have it bounce back at you or something like that. So you want to be careful, because you could accidentally splatter yourself with these crates flying around. But we're going to knock this crate up here, and we're going to do the same thing. You want to make sure you're blocking these doors with the crates either stood on their side or standing straight up. You don't want them kind of flat on their back, because then they're not tall enough. And it might work, but there's a good chance it might not, because the enemies we're trying to block in can see over them and will sometimes still shoot over them and possibly shoot and dislodge the crates themselves, and then they could just walk out, and we definitely don't want that. So you can see I'm doing the same thing on this side now. It's going to be the same 2 doors on this side that we did on the other side. So nothing really new here, just speeding it up because it's the same thing. But there's 2 crates initially when you come into this room on the far end by the hangar door, and also 2 down here, and then we brought the 5th one through the elevator. So we're going to have 5 doors that we want to block, including this one right here. So we're going to block this, and we want to block this with a crate that is totally upright, so it blocks as much of the door as possible. And we will kind of make sure that at least one corner, you can see I'm always checking these corners. I'm trying to wedge one corner into the frame of the door, because you can't actually fit the whole crate into the door frame, but you can kind of make sure it's nice and snug in there by kind of wedging one corner of the crate in there and just making sure it's as tight as possible. But like I mentioned earlier, when you knock the crates over these conveyor belts are kind of magnetic. You could see it kind of caught the crate midair and kind of dragged it and pulled it down nice and straight. And now it's kind of stuck here, and it's tough to actually dislodge because it seems like it's magnetic to some extent. So you really gotta swipe it, and you want to kind of pop it up and over the conveyor belt ideally, because it really does try to kind of snag it out of the air and then pull it down. And if you're not careful, it will actually take it on the conveyor belt, bring it down to the floor below you onto another conveyor belt, and then bring it down and drop down into a hole, and then you can't get it back. So you really want to make sure that you kind of pop it up and over the conveyor belt ideally. And instead of simply just swiping the crate straight on, you kind of want to look up a little bit over the crate, because that will get it to pop up more so than just hitting it straight on. But this is looking pretty good. We have all the crates in place. All 5 doors that we want blocked are blocked. And we're going to exchange our sword now for the beam rifle in the middle of the room on the floor here, because this has a full charge, and we want to use this to take out the sentinels. You could see on each side of the doorway here, the big hangar door, there's a control console. You could go to either one, hit it, it'll open up this door, and then we want to run out here, but you don't want to run straight out here. You actually get pushed back. You can't go too far out here, and now I'm getting shot by sentinels by displaying that. But you want to go to the side here, not too far, because you'll get pushed back, And you want to hide here and wait for the friendly Phantom to move into the hangar, and that will distract the 5 Sentinels. And then you could kind of poke your head back around the corner and start taking out those Sentinels while they're distracted by the Phantom over here. You'll also get some reinforcements that drop down out of the belly of the Phantom. But at this point, it should be pretty easy to take out these Sentinels. They take 2 shots with the beam rifle. Even if you only shoot them once, that will reveal them. That will kind of deactivate their camo enough where the Phantom and the friendlies that are dropped down from the Phantom will kind of see them and start shooting at them as well. So they'll kind of help you out there. But once that 5th Sentinel goes down, I like to start smacking one of my friendly grunts because I don't know what my shield status is due to the blind skull. I know it's probably not full, but we want to get that up. But we don't want to actually smack any more friendlies because that will risk them turning against us, and we don't want that. So just kill 1 grunt, and then you could see that the grunts with the fuel rods, that's the next wave of enemies, they actually did spawn in. And you could see that they're kind of hiding behind the crates, like I mentioned. We boxed them into those rooms so they won't come out and attack us here. So we do actually want to kill one of them, which will get us to be able to go to the next part of the mission. So I now have a plasma pistol and a carbine. So I'm just going to poke my head in one of the doors, and we'll headshot one of these grunts. You probably noticed that not all 4 of these doors that we blocked on this side of the room have opened up. There's only 2 that are open right now. That's because the doors that the grunts spawn in are totally random. So they're going to be in a combination of those 4 doors, but it's not always the same. But now that we took out 1 grunt, I'm going to make my way down here. I actually just walked over some carbine ammo right there. But I'm just going to wait here, and eventually the door will open up after like 20, 30 seconds. So I'm just going to skip ahead right now. We're just waiting here. And the door's going to open up with 2 elites and 2 grunts on the other side. So what I want to do is kind of poke my head in here, and with my plasma pistol, I want to pepper the carbine-wielding elite. There's a carbine elite and a sword elite. I want to focus on the carbine elite, so just shoot him through the gap here, and then you could actually stick him with a plasma nade after you damage him enough. And then that will blow him up and kill him, and that will dislodge the barricade we made. And you want to let these 2 grunts pass, actually. So I'm going to let them live because they are not a threat. But you want to focus on the sword elite. You want to noob combo him, which is the overcharged plasma pistol, to take his shield completely down. And then you want to carbine him in the head to finish him off. My friendly elite actually smacked him to finish him off, which is fine too. But you can see the 2 grunts I let live are scripted to move up and face the opposite direction with their turrets that they set up. So they're not a threat. We could actually use them later to get our shields back, which I'll show you. So we're going to go to this pillar here once we move down. And this elite either goes to the left or the right of the pillar. So you can kind of see which way he's coming from, and then kind of sidestep him and backsmack him. And you might not land the backsmack with the first hit, but obviously just keep smacking him, and the Sputnik skull will help you out there. And then there's 2 more grunts that are charging that position. So you can see I backed up and headshot one of them. The other guy retreated down towards the bottom of the ramp, and I was able to headshot that guy. Now there are some additional elites down there. There are going to be 3 carbine elites down at the bottom of this ramp. So we're just going to take our time. You can see I'm crouching and uncrouching. What I want to do is make my reticle kind of shoot the edge or the end of the floor there, but when I'm uncrouched, it actually is focused on the elite. So it's actually going to shoot the floor if I remain crouched, but when I uncrouch, it will shoot the elite. That's how I'm lining it up. So line up your reticle so when you're standing, it's on the elite, but when you crouch, it's on the floor. And in that position, you can't really get shot by these carbine elites, so you could just charge your plasma pistol, pop up and shoot it, and then while it's on its way, you crouch again so you're safe again, and then switch to your carbine. And then once it actually connects and takes down the shield of the elite, you could just pop up and headshot the elite with the carbine to finish them off real quick. So super easy, super efficient, super safe way to take out these elites. At this point in the mission, you want to be carrying a plasma pistol and a carbine because we're just going to noob combo all the elites as we go, and we're going to headshot all the grunts with our carbine. So we want to poke our head in here. Normally you could see a grunt or 2 from this vantage point, from this doorway, but in this playthrough, it's not happening. So we're going to peek our head in even more. There's 3 grunts on this side that we want to take out. So there's 1, and then we're going to back up. There's 2 elites on the opposite side of this room here. So there they are. They usually don't make their self known. Usually the grunts are easier to shoot, and the elites do not come at us yet, but they already are. So we're going to just roll with the punches here. But like I was mentioning, you want to have the carbine and plasma pistol at this point, and you shouldn't really have a problem with ammo. There's tons of carbine-wielding elites around, and there's tons of full plasma pistols throughout the rest of the mission. So just keep exchanging the plasma pistols as you find them, and keep grabbing the carbine ammo as you kill the elites. But once we take out at least 2 of the grunts, we want to move in here and under this ramp, and this is actually a really good hiding spot. We want to shoot our plasma pistol a little bit just to get the attention of those 2 elites, and eventually they will come in here and we could easily backsmack them. We're kind of forcing them to come to us, and then we could just smack them, and that will obviously turn them around, smack them again for the backsmack to kill them, and a great way to take these guys out because they have carbines, obviously. The carbines are really powerful. Once you have no shield, it only takes 1 or 2 shots to totally kill you. So just kind of get them to come in here. We'll get the back smacks on them, and we'll have a good shield situation right after this. So now we kind of have this area to ourselves. We killed the 2 elites over here and 2 of the 3 grunts. I think the 3rd grunt actually went to the other side of the room up ahead here, so we'll shoot him as we find him. But this guy, I like to cloak myself, and I'm just trying to show you how the elites, when they berserk, and they're heretic elites, they draw a sword, but they actually don't draw anything, so they're easy to kill because they have no weapon and they just stand there. We have the grunt over there on the opposite side of the room, like I thought. But like I mentioned, I don't like to stick this guy typically. I'm just trying to get one of these elites to draw their not sword out so I could show you that I'm not going crazy. It's a real thing, but these elites are not having it. They're taking these sticks like champs, and they're just not going. They're not going berserk. They're not having it this time around. So typically, I would take out that elite by cloaking myself and then overcharge plasma pistoling him and finishing him with the carbine headshot. But of course, I'm still trying to make an example out of this elite, and now I can't even stick this guy. I'm going to throw a couple nades and totally miss. The first couple nades I hit with, it didn't matter. Now I can't even stick him. So I'm just tired of this guy. I'm just going to melee him and kill him. But one thing you may have noticed is the fact that I have not moved towards the other end of the room yet. You want to avoid doing that until you take out all the enemies that are already in here. Because once you move past that first conveyor belt, you will spawn in more enemies. So we don't want that until we have cleared all the enemies out that are initially here. But once you take out enough enemies, you'll get a reinforcement grunt and elite. I like to focus on the grunt and again sacrifice him, pour him for the good of the cause, which is my shield, and we'll be able to get a little bit of shield back. And you could actually kill the elite as well, because by the time you kill the elite and they may possibly turn on you, there's no more friendlies to turn on you. So you could actually corner the elite and take him out as well if you would like, which I may do in the future. So there's one more elite that's alive, and he's on top of the structure on the right over here. So you can see him right over there. I'm trying to noob combo him from afar. Sometimes he moves out of the way. Sometimes he cooperates. So we were able to nail him there. There's more carbine ammo up here. Plenty of carbine ammo. And there's more grunts as well that spawn in. So we'll take these guys out. Got him right through the crack there. That was a nice shot if I do say so myself. There's going to be 2 more grunts that spawn in. So we took out those 2. Now we're going to cross the barrier, cross the first conveyor belt, which will spawn in more enemies. There's going to be 4 grunts that come out of the door, the central door on the opposite side, and then there's going to be 2 elites that come out of the door on the left. So I'm going to grab dual plasma pistols, and I'm going to overcharge both of them and look at that door on the left, and I'm going to discharge the plasma pistols once I get to the middle of the 2 conveyor belts. Once I get in between the 2 conveyor belts, I'll discharge both of them, but in a staggered fashion. So I will kind of hedge my bets and more likely hit at least one of them rather than totally missing both because I fired them at the same time. But you can see those elites are scripted to walk out of the doorway, so we hit that one and finish them with a headshot with the carbine, and then the other one sometimes, most of the time I would say, actually comes at you and you could just smack them to death. But this time you kind of backed up towards those grunts. But you have a decent amount of cover over there by those elites, so you're able to cloak yourself and then run back over here safely, which is what I did. So you're either going to kill just the one elite like I did here, and then you could cloak yourself and come back, or you could actually take out both elites and then cloak yourself and come back here and take out the remaining enemies from over here. So we killed the 4 grunts with headshots easily from up here, and now we have the 1 remaining elite because we didn't take out that second one. So I will go over here and try to make an example out of him. And finally, one of the elites, when I stick him, goes berserk, and you could see they draw their quote-unquote sword, but they actually don't have anything in their hand. So you could actually use them to easily get shield back in that fashion. So we're going to move over here. You can see there's a plasma pistol down here with full ammo. There's another one up here with full ammo, more carbine as well. So tons of plasma pistol like I promised. You could look all over the place. It's everywhere. But we're going to move down here now. There's going to be 2 elites to the right with carbines and 2 sleeping grunts to the left that will be woken up for sure towards the left. So we're going to kind of wait here. Sometimes they're more aggressive and pop out and run up the ramp here. Sometimes they take some coaxing. So you can see I'm just kind of moving around up here, getting them to come out. I cloaked myself and kind of dipped down here to get them to move up, which they did. So we're going to kind of do the same thing where we pop up and then pop them with the plasma pistol, and then pop up and pop them with the carbine to finish them off. So the quad pop, if you will. So that's what we'll do here. They're moving around a little bit. You want to get them so that they're kind of shooting at you. They get into a rhythm of just shooting at you continuously, so they don't really move. So that's what's happening here now. So just pop up, pop them with the plasma pistol, pop up, pop them with the carbine. The quad pop. So we are going to make our way down here now. We got 2 grunts on the left still, remember, and they have needlers. All the grunts are going to have needlers pretty much for the rest of this mission and a lot of the beginning of the mission. So move up here. He was charging my location, and I was going to lose some shield if I kind of didn't make him think twice about moving forward. So that's a good thing to do, is throw a plasma grenade on the ground if they're charging your location, because they are not too fast, and they probably won't be able to make it out of the blast radius because they have those short legs and cannot make it out in time. But we're going to round the corner here. There's going to be 2 grunts coming out of that doorway on the opposite side. There's also going to be a carbine elite. But fortunately, we know how to deal with these guys at this point. A lot of the same thing going on here. There's going to be an elite and a couple of grunts every time we kind of go down one of these ramps and kind of spiral our way down into the facility here. So it's going to be a lot of rinsing and repeating here. So we'll try to do the quad pop here. He's running behind the pillar, though. So we're just going to poke our heads up and hopefully kill this grunt. Dodge any stray plasma nades that are thrown, obviously. And you can see there's another plasma pistol nearby that has full ammo, so it's right to my left. I don't know if you've seen it before, but it's right there. But this guy charged my location, which is fine. We could use the Sputnik skull to our advantage, just smack him a couple times. More carbine ammo right there. More carbine from the elite itself that we just killed. I'll exchange for that fresh plasma pistol I was talking about. And this next elite is an interesting one. We're going to back up as far as we can. We're going to overcharge plasma pistol directly at him, and oftentimes he'll be in the corner and then just move towards that pillar up ahead there, and you could see he's stuck in an animation. You can't really see him, but you could see his carbine is kind of moving back and forth in the same exact animation, and you could see his shield just popped right there, and for whatever reason, he just falls over and dies a lot of the time. Sometimes he doesn't do that. Sometimes he's able to get out of that animation. But the majority of the time, I would say, he gets stuck in that animation. If you do exactly what I did just there, which is kind of just back up as far as you can, plasma pistol him from as far away as possible, and then just watch him go into that column and don't really move too far forward, and he'll just kill himself for some reason. If he doesn't, just deal with him as you have been. Dealing with all the other elites, obviously. Not too big of a deal if he doesn't end up killing himself. But we'll turn down to the left now, and there's going to be a bunch of grunts down there. Again with needlers, of course. And we'll just clear those guys out as much as we can. Some of them like to retreat down to the left. At this point, you want to save your cloaking. You don't want to cloak and go down here, because we want to kind of shoot these couple grunts down here, and then we want to retreat and cloak ourselves at that point, because there's an elite that likes to pop out, and he could take down your shield pretty quickly, and if you're low on health, he could even kill you off. As I turned around and went back down that ramp, you could see that elite was looking right at us, and he was not there before. So save your cloak. That elite likes to chase you, so kind of shoot a grunt or two, cloak yourself, and run away, and then you could take out that elite and focus back on those grunts. At this point, I'm playing it safe. I don't have a shield, so I'm kind of just cloaking myself, poking my head out and shooting one of the grunts, and then retreating, waiting for my cloak to recharge, and then doing the same thing again. You probably can't hear the audible alarm because the game volume is down pretty significantly, but you could tell from the kind of particle effects that are happening across my vision, indicating that I have no shield left. But remember, I kept those 2 grunts alive in the hangar, so we could go back and smack them to death and get our shield all the way back up again, so we'll do that shortly. Just a couple grunts remaining here, and then we'll go get those shields back like I mentioned. One thing you don't want to do really is go smack grunts for shield, unless there's one left, then maybe you could do it. But for whatever reason, grunts turn around a lot quicker than elites, so even though the Sputnik skull is on, it's still pretty tough to smack the grunts and then get the back smack on them. So I recommend just shooting them in the face like we have been here. There goes the last remaining grunt, so I'm going to turn around, go back up the ramps. I'm going to skip ahead to where I'm back in the hangar, and here's the 2 grunts I left behind with their turrets. I'm going to smack these guys, and you want to use the BXB combo, which is melee, reload, melee, and by hitting those button combinations, you could actually melee a lot faster, so it's useful for speeding up when you're smacking things for shield, like now when you're just smacking these grunts or these turrets. And you could also do it when you're in a fight with an elite, so you could actually land the back smack much more reliably. Now we're back where we left off, where we killed those last grunts, and we're going to move down here, and you're going to see a sword spawn in here. Remember that sword. We're going to come back and get it shortly, but you want to move forward as fast as possible to the right side of this doorway, and then look towards the left, and you could actually land a couple headshots on those grunts real quick. Those grunts are kind of starting off towards the top of the map. They're on a ledge up there, and they jump down, and if I was a little quicker, if I wasn't looking at that sword, I could actually quickly land a couple grunt headshots, and I wouldn't have to worry about them, but I'm going to have to worry about them now. But anyway, there's going to be 2 sentinels, and sometimes they are in front of the doorway, sometimes they kind of stay back a little bit, which is what's happening right now, and there's going to be a couple elites as well, and I cannot land any shots for the life of me here. I'm having a real hard time in this doorway. It could be a little difficult to move out of here because there's a bunch of angles that they could shoot you from that you can't really shoot at them as easily. So I'm trying to noob combo this elite up here, but I keep hitting the door frame with my overcharged plasma pistol burst. So just don't do that. Just don't, shoot the door frame. Hit the actual target you're trying to hit. And then I can't land a headshot after I actually do land the plasma pistol. Things just are not working out for me here. Things are just starting to go wrong. They're going off the rails here. But if you're having a hard time getting out of this doorway like I am right now, you could actually cloak yourself once they stop firing and then move in towards the right. All the enemies are on the left side, so you could actually go towards the right, and there's some decent cover over there, and you have a better angle on these guys. But I'm going to stick with my doorway spot here and just take it to them. Eventually, we'll be able to get out of here. And the reason I'm being stubborn and standing in this doorway and fighting them from this inferior angle is because, I'll be honest, I forgot about cloaking yourself and then going towards the right. So do that if you would like, if this doorway is a little too tough for you, and then obviously you could have an easier time. So I'm going to go in here, and I don't recommend doing this. I was kind of fed up. I was getting tired of these elites, so I just went at them. I know I had the full shield, or mostly full double over shield. I probably took a few shots and didn't have as much shield as I thought, but I felt confident enough where I could just go in there and steamroll them, which fortunately I did. You could see I was getting shot by the other elite and the sentinel, so it could have ended in tragedy pretty easily. So I don't recommend doing that. Probably just, land your headshots once you noob combo them. Now the sentinels are coming out to play. They usually are a lot more aggressive than they have been in this run through. So I'm going to kill that grunt like I did there. I'm going to kill this elite as well for shields because I am not in great shape right now. So we're looking good now. Things are looking up. We've killed the annoying people by the doorway here. Now we could kind of inch our way in here. Noob combo this guy, possibly. There we go. Third time's a charm. And then here's another fresh plasma pistol right here, because they're everywhere in this map, in this mission here. And then we could easily headshot the grunts. We want to jump on top of here, this kind of sloped wall here, and we kind of crouch and look through this little gap in the structure here. And it's very easy to kind of duck behind cover once you start getting shot at. You could just kind of uncrouch to look at them and then just crouch behind the cover once you start getting shot at. So kind of similar to our ramp strategy when we were going down that spiral ramp section. Just kind of make it so that when you're looking over, you're barely looking over the edge of something, you could see them and shoot them. But when you crouch, then you are totally unseen by the enemy. So it's a great way to quickly get behind cover. You could crouch faster than you could kind of move left or right to get behind something. And then way less of you is exposed when it's just your head poking up over the barricade. And then there's going to be some elites usually on top of the ledge right where I'm looking right now. So we got one of them. You can see I'm kind of crouching and then uncrouching rapidly so I could line up my shot without really risking being exposed for too long. And then we'll refocus on these grunts down here to finish off this section. You want to make sure that you kill those elites. Sometimes one of those elites likes to jump down and stand in front of the doorway that is the actual exit to this section. So be aware of that, because you could think you're done and then you round the corner and get shot up with the carbine real quick. So I'm just going to throw these plasma nades because that grunt went and hid behind the structure and was not poking his head out. So I was trying to get him to move out of there, and it looks like we did that. Another plasma pistol. All these plasma pistols are full. There's another one over here even, to the left of this crate. Here it is. Check it out. But this door right here is the one we need to go through. This is where sometimes an elite will jump down and be in this little hallway here that is acting as an exit. So just kind of make sure you check that before you round the corner quickly and end up dying from his carbine. But we're going to go in here and we'll try to quickly noob combo one of the two elites that is inevitably going to be walking towards us. And then that doorway on the right all the way at the end opens up and there's 3 grunts, so you could hopefully get a triple kill right there with 3 quick carbine kills. But it wasn't as smooth as planned here. But don't feel like you have to stay in this room. You could actually just back up and kind of gather yourself again. You could cloak yourself and come back in. Don't feel like you have to stay in here amongst all the chaos. But it looks like everybody's dead, and I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I was a little surprised when I came back in here and found that the 2 elites were dead along with the 3 grunts, but we'll take it. So we'll grab as much carbine ammo as we can from them. We should have full carbine and nearly full plasma pistol, and we'll go up to one of these doors, either the right or the left. It doesn't matter. I'm going to double back and go back to the room that I came from and look to the left or the right. The door that opens up is totally random, and we'll just kind of back up and kind of figure out which door they're coming from. And then there's going to be 3 grunts and 2 elites that come out of that door, whichever one it is. So They're coming out of the right side this time around, so we'll just wait for the 3 grunts to mosey on down the ramp, and we'll headshot them. And now I'm going to double back to that sword that I was talking about earlier, so I'm going to speed this part up. We're back at the sword here. Pick it up so we have our full carbine and the full sword going into the next section, and more importantly, the next mission, because the weapons that you end this mission with, those are actually going to carry over into the next mission. Once we get back in here, we want to cloak ourselves so we could walk through that room and then out that door that there was grunts and 2 elites came out of. We could grab the Banshee. I like to fly down into the storm, like the eye of the storm right there, and then fly up towards the structure, usually by flying down a little bit and then flying up towards the structure where we need to actually end up. I avoid this plasma that's flying at me right now, but I actually received a healthy dose of it, unfortunately, in this run-through, but usually I avoid that by taking the path that I was initially on. But either way, we're going to avoid that fire, and then we're going to fly up here to the right side of this structure. You basically fly to the structure on the right, and you want to go towards the right of the big glowing thing on that structure, and then land up here, and you want to ditch your Banshee, and we want to cloak as we go over the edge, and then we want to drop down here right in front of this door, cut into the door, and then that will trigger the cutscene, and that is the end of this mission. No post-mission cutscene, but we do get the post-game Carnage report. And that's all for this one. Join me next time where we pick up right where we left off in the mission, The Oracle. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found that video helpful, be sure to click on the scorpion icon to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You can also check out some related guides by clicking on the videos on screen, and you can find links in the description for other social media links of mine. Stay tuned for more Halo guides, and I'll see you in the next one.